Hey there! Ready to dive into some mysteries with us today? Two, actually. We're going to tackle two very different stories, but both kind of leave you with more questions than answers, you know? First, we're heading out to the Siberian wilderness, to this place. It's so massive, so intriguing. It's the Mirny Diamond Mine, and this isn't just any mine. It's a huge crater, like something out of a movie. Seriously. Over 1,200 meters across, it's mind-boggling.
It really is a feat of engineering when you think about it. A giant hole in the earth deep enough to swallow a skyscraper. Like, we talk about human ambition, this mine, it kind of takes the cake, you know?
It's impressive for sure, but also kind of creepy because for years, pilots have been reporting some seriously strange stuff up there, like sudden downdrafts, instruments going haywire, almost as if something's trying to pull them down, and there are even stories of helicopters just vanishing.
I think I read that they actually closed the airspace above the mine, right?
Yeah, like they just put a big "do not enter" sign up there. We can't explain it, so we're just gonna avoid it altogether.
Which makes you wonder even more, doesn't it? I mean, what do you do when even science doesn't have the answers?
Well, the folks who live near the mine, they've got their own ideas, stories passed down, you know how it is, talking about earth spirits, angered by the mine, out for revenge, that kind of thing. It's interesting, though, how we turn to folklore, to legends, when we can't explain something. Like, our brains, they need to fill in the blanks somehow, right?
So, have there been any attempts to explain it scientifically? Like, what could be causing these weird occurrences? There have been theories, oh yeah, for sure, but nothing concrete. Some point to geothermal anomalies, like heat from deep inside the Earth messing up the air currents above, creating these mini vortices. But actually studying it, that's a whole other challenge because of that airspace closure we talked about.
So we've got this giant hole in the ground, this testament to human engineering, and yet we're also reminded that we don't have it all figured out. These unexplained forces, it's kind of humbling, you know?
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? And speaking of humbling encounters with the unknown, let's trade the frozen tundra for the open ocean.
From a giant hole to a ghost ship. Okay, you've got my attention. What is it about the Mary Celeste that keeps drawing us in, even after all these years?
Imagine, you're out on the Atlantic, late 1800s, and you spot a ship just drifting. Looks fine from a distance, but you get closer, board it, and there's not a soul inside.
Okay, no, that's just creepy. What happened? Where did everyone go? Did they find any clues?
That's the question that's haunted us for centuries, right? The Mary Celeste, just a regular merchant ship, left New York in 1872, headed for Italy, carrying commercial alcohol, nothing too out of the ordinary. But the crew, the passengers, all gone, vanished without a trace.
No signs of a fight, no SOS, nothing.
They found the ship's log. Last entry was days before they found it adrift. Lifeboat was gone, suggesting they left in a hurry, but everything else was in place. No signs of panic.
Okay, so it wasn't pirates then, right?
Seemed unlikely they didn't touch the cargo, and like I said, no struggle. Mutiny was another thought, but again, why leave the ship in such good condition?
So if the obvious answers are off the table, what are we left with?
Well, that's where the cargo comes in, that commercial alcohol I mentioned. Turns out, if those barrels leaked, even a little, could create a dangerous situation down in the hold.
Flammable vapor, right. One spark and boom, the whole ship goes up.
You're getting it. But it wouldn't be a Hollywood explosion, more like a sudden whoosh, enough to blow out hatches, maybe tear some sails, but not necessarily burn the ship down.
So they panicked, thought the whole thing was going to explode, and just abandoned ship.
Exactly. Picture yourself out there miles from land, and suddenly you think your ship's about to blow. You wouldn't wait around to see what happens. You'd grab a lifeboat and get as far away as possible.
I can see the logic, terrifying as it is. But I'm guessing the alcohol theory doesn't satisfy everyone, right? There's got to be some wilder theories out there.
Oh, absolutely. This is the Mary Celeste we're talking about. Prime territory for speculation. Rogue waves, those monstrous walls of water, those have been mentioned. Even sea monsters dragging the crew down.
I'll admit, the Kraken theory is a bit more exciting than leaky barrels, but I have a feeling the truth is probably much more mundane.
Likely, but hey, doesn't hurt to keep an open mind, right? It's that unknown that keeps us coming back to these stories.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but with half the pieces missing. Even if we never get the full picture, we can't help but try to fill in the blanks. So, what other explanations have people come up with for the Mary Celeste? You can't just drop sea monsters and move on. You got to give me more.
Oh, right. Well, some folks have imagined water spouts, you know, those tornadoes over water. They say maybe one of those hit the lifeboat, capsized it, but the main ship was far enough away to be okay.
So a freak accident, perfectly timed to take out the lifeboat, but not the ship itself. Yeah, that's got that mystery of the sea vibe, for sure.
Exactly. And then you've got the really out there stuff like time warps or even, wait for it, aliens.
It's funny, even when we have something like the alcohol theory that kind of makes sense, there's still that part of us that wants to believe in something more, something we can't explain.
Maybe it's because these stories, the mine, the ship, they remind us that for all our progress, we're still at the mercy of nature.
In nature, it can be pretty wild and unpredictable, that's for sure.
It keeps us grounded, right? Shows us we don't have all the answers no matter how much we think we know.
And in those gaps where logic fails and the stories take over, that's where it gets really interesting.
It's what keeps these mysteries alive, why we're still talking about them today.
So, what's the common thread here? We've got a giant hole in the ground, a ghost ship, two totally different things.
At the heart of it, they both show what happens when human ambition clashes with forces beyond our control.
We push boundaries, explore, try to understand, but sometimes nature has other plans.
And those are the moments, the mysteries that really capture our imaginations.
They make us question, think critically, and maybe even embrace the fact that we don't have all the answers.
That's the beauty of a good mystery, isn't it? It's not always about the destination, but the journey of exploration.
The search for answers, even if those answers are never truly found.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, which of these mysteries stuck with you? What do you think happened? Sometimes exploring those questions can tell you more about yourself than it does about the mystery itself.